Greetings! In this video we're going to be looking at some of the history behind conservatism, and we're going to be looking at its core ideas. Conservatism is the second ideology I've made videos about. Now some of the textbooks put conservatism as the first ideology, and the specification actually puts conservatism as the first ideology. But I think it makes more sense to learn about liberalism first. And the reason for that is because conservatism is often seen as the reaction to other ideologies. And I'm going to oversimplify this, and then as the videos kind of go on we'll get kind of more complex. But conservatism, a simple way of understanding conservatism is it's the no ideology. Like liberals come along and say we want to free everyone, we want to have maximised freedom, we want to have negative liberty or positive liberty, and we want to give lots of rights and regulations and change. And conservatives say no, we kind of like things as they are, and we want to conserve. We think that the way society is working now is fine. Socialism kind of comes along and says, well, we want to make everyone equal, and we want to have all this kind of public ownership, and we want to make sure that everyone kind of gets the rewards of their labours. And conservatism kind of says, well, no. We kind of like the structure of society as it is, and we kind of think this is working. So conservatism is often the kind of no ideology, because look at the word itself. It says to conserve, to keep the same, to preserve, preserve. And so the simple way of understanding conservatism is that it isn't really an ideology at all. It's just a group of people that say, no, we quite like things as they are. I'm oversimplifying, and as you go through you'll see that it's far more complex than that. And actually conservatives often do believe in change, but it's often slow measured change rather than kind of quick and dynamic change. I went to see a play a few years ago. It was called Labours of Love, or Loves of Labour, or something like that. Not the Shakespeare one, but it was a pun on the Shakespeare one. And it was a play about the Labour Party. And in that one, this member of the Labour Party is kind of like bemoaning how depressed she is, and she's like, it must be great to be a Conservative, because you must wake up every morning as a Conservative and go, well, this is it. This is perfect. This is great. This is exactly how the world should be. I love it. Now, slightly unfair, but there is a point there in that conservatives tend to look at society as it is and go, you know what, this is pretty good. Yes, we need to change this. Yes, we need to kind of do that. And you can kind of see this in the recent manifestos. Like if you look at a Liberal Democrat manifesto, or you look at a Labour Party manifesto, it's often huge, and it often talks about doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Conservative manifestos tend to be far shorter. Yes, they will talk about change. Yes, they will talk about things they want to do, but it will have a lot less things that they want to do, and there'll be a lot more like keep this going, support this, reinforce that, rather than huge dramatic change. And if you've already done the kind of constitutional changes of the in the course, you'll notice that lots of the major constitutional changes start after 1997, and many of them stop when you reach 2010. And the reason for that is because between 1997 and 2010 you've got a Labour government that are changing the British Constitution, and before that you have whatever it was, 18 years of Conservative rule where they don't have these huge constitutional changes. Now, there are some Conservatives that change things massively, and we will learn about them later. There's something called the New Right, and there's some famous politicians that you definitely will have heard of that can actually be very radical, but that's getting advanced. The reason why I'm labouring this point, and the reason why I've left this slide up, is because I really want you to understand that conservatism is different to the other ideologies. In many ways it isn't an ideology. It is the ideology that seeks to block, it's the political idea that seeks to block the other political ideas. And as we go through, you'll learn how the different key thinkers have played with their ideas, when they believe in change and when they don't, how even conservatives disagree with other conservatives, how conservatism changes over time, because if you think about it, like keeping things the same in the year 1800 and keeping things the same in the year 1900 and keeping things the same in the year 2000 would mean three very, very different things, and therefore to be a conservative in 1800 and 1900 and the year 2000 would be very, very different as well. So again, conservatism is quite unique in that it does change over time as well. So what a liberal believes is probably reasonably consistent over time, although in a modern context, conservatism really does change. So we're going to look quickly at the 6 core ideas of conservatism, and then our goal in this video will be complete. Conservatives believe in human imperfection, whereas liberals believe that humans have all this kind of potential and this optimism and this rationalism, this belief that I can guide myself better than anyone else can. And socialists believe in this wonderful kind of community and this desire to kind of help one another. Conservatives believe we are not perfect and we are flawed and we exist almost in a state of competition with one another, and we need a strong state and a government to more or less kind of put us on our place and to give us structure and authority in our lives. And the word they use for this is paternalism. And the word paternal comes from pater, meaning father. Mother for the mother-like would be maternalism or maternal, and pater is paternalism. And we're talking about stereotypical parenting roles here, so apologies to the year 2020, but if you go back to the traditional roles, the mother is the caring, supportive parent, and the father is more of the disciplinarian, who wants the best for his children, but does so in a stern, authoritative way. The conservative view of the state is like that. Because humans are imperfect, we need a state which is authoritative and strong and makes us know how we should be behaving and will punish us if we aren't. Conservatives also believe in traditions, and I've kind of put Christmas trees up there. Now, conservatives don't believe in Christmas trees just for the hell of it, and they don't believe in religion just for the hell of it, and they don't believe in standing in a queue just for the hell of it, but they do believe that all of these traditions, which to some people may seem pointless and superfluous, they believe that these traditions bring stability and continuity to a society. Because in a country like the United Kingdom, the fact that we all come together on Christmas Day and we have our Christmas trees and we have our turkey, and just for argument's sake, we all go to church on a Sunday. I know we don't, but if we all go to church on a Sunday and we all stand in queues, this brings shared values, shared systems, shared understanding, shared kind of systems of community, and therefore this society is far more likely to be stable, because everyone knows the expected behaviour from everyone else. And that's why conservatives are often very much in favour of things like, or certainly say like 10, 15 years ago, they were very anti-gay marriage, because they saw marriage as a traditional thing that they didn't want to change, because they thought that marriage is part of what a British society should kind of be, and they don't like it when you kind of change their kind of traditions. Of course it does change over time. Now we're going to get into a slightly more complex one here. An organic society. Now I've done a picture of a tree here to help you kind of understand this. And there's two ways that an organic society can be understood using this kind of analogy of a tree, or a kind of metaphorical idea of a tree. Symbolic tree. Pick your idea. Now, a tree doesn't go seed tree in 2 days. It grows slowly over time, adding on branches, and then other branches, and then sub-branches, and then leaves, and then fruit, and then it keeps growing over time, and you get bits over here and bits over there. And my point is that one way an organic society works is that it doesn't suddenly change from this into this through revolution, through bloodshed, through murdering your leaders, or by having a huge civil war. A society should change slowly and naturally over time, through minor changes when necessary, and blossoming out into whatever it kind of needs to be. So one way of understanding this organic society is a slow, naturally changing society over time without radical quick change. The second way of understanding this nice kind of tree idea is that trees have leaves and small branches and big branches and a trunk. It has all these different elements to them. Or if you want to understand it in a simple way, it's got a top, a middle and a bottom. And conservatives believe that an organic society has the same thing. Upper classes, middle classes, lower classes, people that are born to govern, people that are supposed to be kind of running the businesses, people that are supposed to be kind of managers, people that are supposed to be working in the factories or working and producing things, people that are supposed to be working in more of the service kind of industry, people that are kind of more on the lower classes, the kind of the cleaning and things like that. Like, conservatives believe that society has layers, and unlike liberals, where liberals kind of believe in a meritocracy where the best go to the top and the worst kind of fall down to the bottom, conservatives tend to believe more that there are just these levels in society. There is a ruling class, there is a lower class, and you don't necessarily get the same movement between the two. Now, some conservatives will disagree with that, and we'll come back to that in the future, because actually different conservatives believe different things. But if we go back to the traditional conservatives, there is an accusation of elitism, which might be justified, that they do believe that there is there are layers in this organic society positions that people are supposed to kind of fulfill. Number 5, pragmatism. Whereas liberalism and socialism, let me back up for a second. Again, conservatism is often easiest to be understood in its opposition to something else. And you may well notice that every time I've kind of defined these ideas here, I've kind of started off by kind of going, well, liberalism says this, but conservatism says that. Well, socialism says this, and socialism says this, and conservatism says that. And again, I'm going to do it here because, again, I want to get this idea that conservatism is the reaction to the other ideas that comes along. So whereas liberalism says, I've got this radical idea that I've thought of, and I've conceived of it, and I want to make it like that, and socialism says a similar thing. Conservatism is far more about, well, what have we experienced? What do we know already? Pragmatism, what's practical here? What's actually going to work? What have we tangibly experienced in our society, proved to be effective, and how can we tweak and adjust that? We don't need this radical change or this rationalism of kind of belief. We kind of want to go with the tried, the tested, the sturdy, because so much of conservatism is about this stability, conserving society, conserving countries. Because the absolute worst thing for a conservative is a huge change or a kind of revolution. There are exceptions. We'll be coming to the new right later. But a lot of conservatism is about practical, experienced ideas rather than radical ones. Now, I've put this one in brackets because the last core idea here is liberty, which is freedom. And you might be thinking, hang on a minute, that sounds a lot like liberalism. Well, yes, because actually, as conservatism changes over time, remember how I talked about the conservative in 1800, the conservative in 1900 and 2000? Liberalism, or liberty, becomes a core value, especially for the new right. And the idea about economic freedom and capitalism becomes a conservative value. But I've put it in brackets because that isn't one of the starting core values, and it isn't one that's necessarily shared by all of the conservative thinkers. But I wanted to put it there because it's certainly one of their modern values that is very much core. So there we go. Why did conservatism happen? Test yourself. What's it a reaction against? Why? What were the 6 core values? What did they mean? What were some of the key words? Why did I always start the definition of conservatism by looking at another ideology? And in our next videos, we'll be looking at some of the key thinkers, some of the kind of core ideas in more detail, like the state, the economy, human nature, and we'll be looking at some of the different types of conservatism as we go through. If you've got any questions or if I've made any mistakes, then do let me know in the comment section, or if you just love the video, it'd be great to hear from you as well. Have a lovely day. All the best.